Hey guys, so I know you are looking to start getting your wings together for Halloween, and I do not have time to make a whole new set. Kind of explained it on Patreon. So I'm just gonna go over with you, these are my hot girl wings, and I'm going to kind of take them apart a little bit so you guys can see the interior, and I can show you kind of backwards what the process of putting these together is and each of the pieces that goes into it, so you'll at least have an idea of what you need to do to complete them. The hardest part are the fake feathers, which you already know how to make, and I will be putting up a clip. I don't know if I'll have time to do it like right away, and I want to get this up as soon as possible, so it might come in little pieces, but I'm definitely gonna show you how to wrap the wire and do everything. But for starters, let's just go over these wings and take a look at them. So right now I have them wired up, and I need to open them to work on them. So let's just So, I'll just use a little TLC. So first thing I'm gonna do rather to show you this is I'm going to take off the sleeve. I wonder if I can get this any farther away. If I can just move this. Yeah, so I'm gonna do this. And I have these little elastic ties on my sleeves, and that's how these stay on. Oh shoot. And I'm sure there are other ways you could do it. I experimented with buckles. Buckles are nice, but they get in the way of things, and they're much more visible than like little ties if they come undone or whatever. So I don't know. I've been experimenting with different methods. I did magnets for a while, but they come apart and then they move and then they stay stuck. And, so this is the best way I've found. That's not to say that there's not a better way to do it. Come here. And you are free to do whatever you want. Get these to work. But I just do little bows. And then the other thing is here at the back brace. I think they're just loosely on there. These are just bolted on to where the back brace connects with the wing. And so I don't know if you can see that there's these two holes in the fabric, and I'll zoom in as soon as I get this one off. I just hand tighten these ones, though bolting them down is a good idea. So, oh, I missed one. And I'll give you guys a close-up here in a second. Okay, so that's the sleeve, and this is what it looks like. I basically, let me do this. So this is what the sleeve looks like on the inside. It's basically got you can see the black, that's elastic. And then where the gray is, this is felt. You can use other fabrics. I just like the felt is nice and cheap. And if there's any repairs, these are just glued on, not sewn, because unless you have a, I don't know, something industrial strength, it's not going to get through the top of the quill, so I just glue them on, and the felt creates a really nice surface to glue to. And then all of these feathers, all these fuzzies on the top, you can see are sewn on in layers. And so, see if I can get a little bit closer. So you can see they're all sewn in layers along the inside, and that creates these layers on the outside and creates full coverage. It's a good idea to go with the color, like a color felt of the color feathers that you're using, but you can also do a darker color so it looks more shadowed. I couldn't find a gray elastic, for example, so I went with black. Yeah, and so that's what the sleeve looks like in terms of the shape and why it's shaped this way. And now I come up with this shape. I know we're going backwards, but bear with me, because basically this one folded in half. Actually, let's fold it the other way so you can see it a little better. So when it's folded in half, it looks like this. It's got a little swoop here at the front, a little half circle, or an oval, I guess, which becomes a full oval. And then here, you've got this kind of bowed shape towards the back. And the reason for that is when this comes down, the distance between, because this fabric doesn't stretch a whole lot, and feathers certainly don't stretch a whole lot. And if you use a stretch fabric and sew everything to it, you're going to get a lot of buckling, and your feathers are going to poke up in a whole bunch of different weird ways. So what I do is I just go with like elastic. You kind of want elastic up at the top so that it buckles less. But I only have like this little strip in the middle, and that's it. And that's enough for it to not go total crazy with the buckling. And it's kind of like a nice mix. And then this, when it comes down, if you just did it where like the sleeve covered this perfectly, like, and the feathers only came down to like here when it was open, when this closes, you're gonna create space here. This is gonna fold in here, and then you would be left with a gap here at the bottom. I don't like to move these on the ground, but maybe I can show you. So, as you can see, when this poke comes down, this distance here is greater than it was before. And this, you can see, like, with that bowed shape, like, you have all of this extra fabric covering the base when it's, you have all this extra space when it's covering the base when it's open, but then when it's closed, it's just barely covering that metal piece at the bottom. And so if you don't give it that bowed shape, it's not going to cover everything once everything closes up. And you're going to have like these metal pieces or PVC or whatever it is you're using poking out at the bottom. Okay, so that's the sleeve. Okay, so the way I put these on, is I tape the battery and the control board to the frame, and in this position you can see when it's fully open it just barely doesn't touch the base there, and when it's closed it stays out of the way. For smaller wings this isn't possible. You're gonna end up jamming your frame with the battery, and then you might damage the battery, and that would be bad. But if you have a, this is a 12-foot frame, so if you have a 12-foot frame or larger, you can do that. The other thing I have here is the actuator. It is connected to the top elbow joint, and then to this front bar here. And as you can see, there's a standoff. And the reason for this is you want the actuator to be straight when it opens and closes. You don't want it at an angle, and you also don't want the base to hit the bottom of this, the bottom of the bar there as it moves. And you also don't want, if I can get around here, you also don't want when it opens to hit this bolt. And you can see how I have it like exactly positioned so that it's just above that bolt. And so, I don't know how many, what, it's a 1/2 inch and then a 1/4 inch and then an 1/8 of an inch. So 3/4, so 7/8 of standoff. And then the other reason is as it closes, the actuators come one way. There's not like a right and a left. But so on one side you're gonna have this wire coming out at the bottom, and on the other side it's gonna come out at the top. And that, like when it's like it is on this side, when it's pointing down, you also don't want to give it a little bit of space so that when it hits, it's not shearing it. It can actually pop that right off and cut your wires. So all things to keep in mind when you're mounting your actuators. So when you're actually fitting your actuators, the thing you're going to look at is not the distance from this point to this point when open and closed. This doesn't matter. What you need is the point at the elbow to the point here at the top part of this wrist joint. And so the way you're going to look at this is when you close these, this distance here is going to become shorter, and then when they open, they become larger. And that's how it, basically the wing opens and closes, right? The distance, you need to measure the change in distance between when this is closed and when it's open. When it's closed, take the measurement. When it's open, take that measurement, subtract, you're going to get a number of inches. That's your throw length. And that's basically the actuator size that you need to get, is how many inches does that open and close. It does not, it matters how big the actuator is when it is closed. So because it needs to fit between this elbow joint and here. It needs to fit somewhere on the frame that opens that correct distance, right? But that distance will be the same no matter where you mount this top piece onto this frame. So you can mount it anywhere along the frame and it's still going to work. It does not need to mount to the top. That distance, however, that it needs to open and close will stay the same regardless of where you mount it. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to measure, open, closed, find the distance that it changes, buy an actuator that is at least that large. So if it's 5 inches and you can only get a 4 or 6 inch actuator, you get the 6 inch actuator. It has limit switches in it so that if it encounters too much force, it will stall out and it'll stop. And it'll stop itself from even trying to open and stripping gears or anything. It automatically has these in them. So, which is really nice because then you don't break things. But so if you get one that's too big, it's better than too small because otherwise they won't open and close all the way. So that's how you measure and pick which actuator you need. So you have to build your frame first, and then you're going to mount it to your elbow, your top elbow joint, and then anywhere along this bottom metal frame. Let's see what else in terms of the feathers. Let's do that. So the way the feathers work is each feather is mounted onto the frame with basically a washer and a nut, and each feather, which is going to be hard to see unless I take one off, basically at the top the wire comes to a loop. And I'll take one off here in a minute unless I can find one laying around. But each individual feather is mounted along the frame. And then to get them to open and close together, I'm just going to come in here close. You see this? This is the end of the paracord I used. And these top two are just taped down so that they come straight off the frame nice. But then after that, they are tied, and then each knot I glue so that it doesn't move as much. And it goes through each one, and oh, I missed one. And then tied off at every single feather. And then to cover that up, as you can see, well, to cover it up and to create that second layer of feathers, I go ahead and add these real feathers on top of it, and then that molds into the fluffies that are on the sleeve. Yeah, and even at some points, I don't know, these feathers, oh man, this feather got janked up pretty good. I've been wearing these a lot indoors and around kids, and I need to spend some time making them look good again, but you can kind of see it is going to show. It will probably show in pictures. I have used clear before, and clear stretches, like clear cabling stretches. So, and you really don't want any stretch. So if you can find something that doesn't stretch, then it works great. So for the back brace, I'm just going to give you a quick overview. Basically the whole thing is aluminum, and you can see these plates. I've actually got, well, anyway, you can see that it basically has 2 points, and it pivots along those 2 points. When you mount all of your wiring, just be sure, because there's basically going to be that feather cover is going to come here, and it bolts on, and it makes it so that like these can't do that and get ripped apart. So that helps there. But technically, you know, that's not the case over here, so make sure that you try and get your cabling as tight as possible. Oh, here you go. You can kind of see here how it's on the frame there. That helps keep it on. But yeah, these, and this is what you're going to need to get through your costume, this plate, if you're trying to get this mounted underneath. And the way these work, these aluminum braces work. This is a particularly large brace for a small woman, so that's why it looks so silly. But basically, just like on that, it has these standoff plates. You can see the standoff, aluminum standoffs in here. They bolt like that. And then there's this plate on top and a plate on the bottom. This is your back brace piece, and the aluminum can be contoured to your back. And you don't have to like contour it once and then never do it again. And basically you can see I do flathead washers, or sorry, not flathead washers, flathead bolts, so that it doesn't like dig into your back very much. And then I actually glue on foam padding onto the back once I'm done. I wonder if you can see it on the other one. We'll see in a second. And then this basically, this plate just basically slips on there, and then it gets bolted down. So, yeah. And I personally like Rhino to do all of my AutoCAD work, but you can use AutoCAD. Or sorry, my vector work. But you can use AutoCAD. Let's see if you can see the padding. But you can see in here that this padding, I mean, it's glued on there. I can't pull, I mean, I suppose if I tried I could peel it off, but I have it glued on. And then I also have it painted. I have it painted skin tone because this goes under my corset. That's the word. This goes under my corset, and I wanted it to look like my skin. So yeah, I hope that that helps. Let's see if I could find a feather. Okay, so I found a feather. And what you're basically going to be doing is, this is what your feather should look like after you have clipped it and whatever, and trimmed off all the excess. And what you're basically going to do is you'll have your feather pattern, and you're going to put your framework on your pattern and constantly adjust it to make sure that the framework is matching with the top of where you want it on your framework. Even put markings down so that you can put it back, because every time you do this, like every time you put on a new feather, it doesn't weigh enough that it's not going to move, and you're going to put a feather down and, you know, you'll get 5 feathers in and then realize it's moved 3 inches, and, you know, your feather's going to be totally off. So anyway, that aside, you're going to basically measure, you know, on your pattern and say, okay, it needs to be this one. Actually, I mean, you're just going to go one by one, but I'm trying to find one that I don't have to trim. So this one's about the right size, and you go, okay, and if you need to, you'll trim up into the feather and cut away any extra and strip away the glued on fabric on the wire. And then what you're going to do is, I'm not at my workshop, okay? Give me a break. But you'll have I use a piece of scrap 2x4 that I drilled a 1/4 inch hole in, and then I put a bolt through it, and then I hammered the bolt in on the one side, and that was enough. I am substituting this plate, but same idea. There's just a little bolt coming out through the top. And this is kind of a jeweler's trick that I learned. Ow. There we go. And what you're going to do is, you know, you're going to measure your feather, and you're going to say, oh, okay, well, the loop needs to be, in this case, actually right at the top. It might be a little farther along, or it might be a little farther down, but you're going to note where that is. You can mark it if you want. I don't, because I'm lazy. But what you're going to do is you're going to first bend it the opposite direction, so it's kind of like this. And then you're going to put it up against your bolt, and you are going to just pull it around so that you create this loop. And I have created it too tight. Too good one. Oh no, I just caught it on the And so you're gonna basically create this little spiral, right? Well, you want it flat. And so then what you're gonna do when you have tools, BRB, ha. So then what you're gonna do is you're going to clip this, clip off the excess, so that you're just left with a loop. And then with your hammer on your wood that I don't have, I guess I can do it here. You are going to hammer your little loop flat. I don't know if you can see that. You're gonna hammer the loop flat, like so. And if you want, you can use pliers to like bend it so that it's coming straight off of the center wire. And then you're gonna go ahead and bolt it to the frame. Or you can do that in series. I tend to do all of the measuring first and the looping first, and I put them in a giant armo pile, and then I go back and put them all along. But if it helps you keep track, like to just make it and then put it on and then make it and put it on, you can do that too. So yeah, that's how you make feathers, or you size your feathers. It's how you loop your feathers. I haven't really shown you how to put them on, but it's a Phillips head screwdriver and a wrench. So easy enough. Put those all along, string them, put feathers over the top, put the actuator on, you know, and then you do the wiring. Now the wiring, I don't know how many of you are planning on doing wiring for, do I have a circuit board besides this one? I don't want to take this one off. I think I do. So I do have a circuit board, yay. Basically, when you're wiring your circuit board, if you don't know how to do wiring, go to your local hackerspace, they'll teach you. And so basically I get these from Minnie in the Box. If you're watching this, you can click the link on my, my parts list. But basically it comes with all of these little ugly connectors that I don't like. You can use them, but as the wing moves, the wires can come undone. So I directly solder all of my wiring into the circuit board. And as you can see, you have basically your power source goes in, and I wonder how close, if I can get this to, see how it says in minus and in plus? Right there. You basically need to make sure that your power is going in correctly. You're going to make sure that your positive is going into the positive end and negative is going into the negative. If it's swapped, it won't work. And then once you do that, you need to create, it does not have an automatic connection from those positive to negative to these, to the NC and NO. Focus. Focusing on me. Stop focusing. There we go. The NC and NO. And so you have to create that connection. So, my friend liked going over the top, but I don't, because then things don't fit quite as well. So basically you're gonna create a connection from those two, NC and NO, and then you have to then create that connection going. And so like each of those power supplies are going to each of these boxes individually. So like this, just putting it here means that it's going to this box. And rather than put more connections this way, I just did a looped connection from this side over to the other side. Do you see where that positive, negative, and positive goes? Like you can watch it, like black goes to black, goes to black, right? And so all of our grounds are connected and all of our positives are connected. And then C stands for COM, and that's basically where you're putting your connectors that go, their communications that are going to go to your actuators. And so basically, and when you buy these, I double check now since I've had it backfire on me. Double check that these are wired the same way, because sometimes they're not. And then you would actually have to have the wires flipped, even though the power supply is the same. Like the copper inside doesn't matter if it's red or black. That just typically helps. So, so yeah, then you're going to put your comms in there, and if you have two actuators, you're going to be hooking up two separate wires to the single comm. But yeah, that's how that works. And then, oh, and then the other thing, I don't have one. untampered with. But okay, when you buy these circuit boards, this is very, very important. You see this little 3-prong thing? It's next to this little button. If ever you push this button, there's a little light that comes up here, okay? That tells you that the power supply is connected. Right next to that button, there's like these 3 prongs, right? You need those empty. There's usually a jumper here, and you need to just pull out that jumper entirely. And basically what the jumper does is it signals whether, like there's different modes on this, and so like in certain modes, like if you just click A, they'll open up all the way and you don't need to hold it down. If you pull this out, you have to hold down the button and you can stop your wings like halfway through or whatever. And I don't know, I've had these blow out when that jumper was in there, so just take it out. Hold down the button. Take the 3 seconds it takes for your wings to open. Like seriously, I don't know. I've had 2 blow for I have no reason. I don't know why. It shouldn't, but it does. Take it out. So anyway, and then this is your antenna, the thing that keeps hitting me in the face. The antenna's kind of short, and I find that the back brace can interfere with the signal. If you want to extend this antenna so that it loops in front, is probably a really good idea. But I don't know what frequency these are at, so I don't know how much longer it needs to be. I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, let's see. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. And then, if I missed anything, let me know. This is just a quick overview, I promise. Now that I have a bigger SD card, I can record for longer. And the problem I've been having is like I can't record for an entire day and then dump at the end of the day. I was having to like dump every couple of hours. And so now that I can work all day without stopping and I just record what I'm doing and whatnot, hopefully I can get you guys these tutorials a little bit faster. Thanks. Bye.